one of the most iconic episodes of SmackDown. So let's set the stage. Kurt Angle was amidst his first return from injury. It was now a face and was red hot. Angle's character change was welcomed because the fans simply had too much respect for him. Because Angle was so talented, he was never going to be truly hated. This man was a jack of all trades, master of some. Angle was going back after the championship, the same title held by his friend Brock Lesnar. Lesnar had been a face for about 7 months. WWE clearly saw this as his place to lead the company. However, plans changed and Lesnar grew resentment over his own friend coming in and taking his title, even went as far as to side with the devil of the WWE, Mr. McMahon, all in an effort to get his title back. For Lesnar, pushing boundaries were no problem despite his incredible size and talent, as long as it meant his name was on the WWE Championship, because that's all that mattered. Friendship doesn't win new championships, and the friendship provided no value for Brock Lesnar. They had a great match at SummerSlam, a match some say was better than their WrestleMania 19 main event. Lesnar surprisingly tapped out to Angle here, and it was so crazy to see Brock actually tap out after they turned him heel and all that stuff. But at the end of the day though, he didn't lose to a jobber, he lost to Kurt Angle. So a rematch was set for the September 18th, 2003 episode of SmackDown. With that said, this was a wrestling show. SmackDown was well known for that, but this episode was the most obvious example of that. Okay, with that said, Mr. McMahon hyped up the upcoming Iron Man match between Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle. It didn't need to feel like a big deal already, but this made it feel like it was out of this world. All of a sudden, The Undertaker came out and told him that he's got too much respect for the title to interfere in the Iron Man match. For Vince, not so much. He knew that Brock Lesnar interfered 2 weeks earlier because of him and said that he doesn't forgive or forget. SmackDown intro's hype, I want it all. Pyro goes out. Raleigh, North Carolina got this episode. It was going to be huge. Okay, the first match of the show was a tag team match. Rey Mysterio and Chris Benoit faced Tajiri and Rhino. Both men were embroiled in feuds with the heels. Rhino with Benoit and Tajiri with Rey over the Cruiserweight Championship. Quick start from Chris Benoit, who increases the intensity already. Tajiri locked in the Tarantula and in comes Rhino. Sharp Irish whip and a shoulder to the midsection, and the commentary team were hyping up the Iron Man match like crazy. They made you want to tune into it. They made it seem like it was the biggest deal, which it was, because it was Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle. But that's not the point here. Crossbody counter from Benoit before he connects with the backdrop. Rey enters the match and uses his speed and high-flying skills to take advantage. Tajiri spits green mist into the wrong person, leading to the 619 on both men. Rey drops the dime and scores the victory. The show was very limited. With the time they had, the guys made the most out of it, and at this point in 2003, it was just a matter of time. What I mean by that is if they had more time, you heard that word a lot, it was going to be a great match. These guys are all talented, and they were in form in 2003. Rey, Benoit, Tajiri, Rhino, all these guys are very good this year, and you could always count on them to put on a great TV match on SmackDown. They got enough in to make it entertaining and good enough. So yeah. Okay, the next match was a handicap match. Tori Wilson and Nydia teamed up to face Shaniqua. Shaniqua was the winner of Tough Enough, if I remember. She had an impressive build, especially for that time period, and she easily stood out. You know, the woman back then, they didn't have that strong build or anything like that. The depths of 2003 WWE, though, is a strange place to visit because she was a dominatrix. Tori and Nydia quickly went on the attack, but once she turned it up, both women were in danger. They struggled badly with her. They struggled. She was dropping them with clotheslines, body slams, and then she dropped Nydia with a brutal powerbomb to win the match. Then afterwards, Dawn Marie was assaulted. She gets thrown into the post, and this was all to build her up as the next China, basically. It didn't work out well for a couple of reasons. There was that strange APA story where they bruised her chest or whatever. It was bizarre. But at the time, they were looking into building up Shaniqua as this next powerhouse in the women's division, because as I said, there wasn't many powerhouses in the women's division. Alright, in the back, Mr. McMahon was still trying to find a way to get his daughter to quit her job as general manager. It was an ego thing. Firing her was too easy, and he told her that he's going to play it dirty. Was he lying? No. This story would develop over the next couple of weeks with McMahon continuing to stack the deck against his daughter. Greater had her face Stephanie, A-Train, I think even the Big Show, and then he would decide to face her at No Mercy. That's a story for another day. Okay, the next match is for the WWE Tag Team Championships. The world's greatest tag team defended the gold against Los Guerreros. Eddie was proud of his nephew getting this title opportunity, and he was flattered, but Chavo was more excited about making Eddie a double champion. John Cena, meanwhile, was so impressed with Los Guerreros' cheating skills last week that he made a rap about it. He turned it around and said that he'll leave the opposition dead like Saddam Hussein, even said that Los Guerreros are better at cheating than Ben Affleck with J-Lo, and it's the most 2003 things ever. I mean, what do you expect? It's 2003, right? As for the title match, the champions didn't even have an entrance. Both sides had a strong background in wrestling that was very apparent. Their matches had a thing about them that separated it from other tag team matches at the time due to this, because as I said, There wasn't two other tag teams out there that had a background in wrestling like these two. It was fairly even early on. Los Guerreros, though, were more explosive, and while it did work in the challengers' favor, that would change. Los Guerreros had the intensity, the speed, not to mention the cheating skills. That energy, though, was difficult to maintain, and it would become apparent as Haas and Benjamin took a conservative approach, being the heels. They failed to properly execute the technique, and these guys were always one step ahead of the champions, especially Eddie. And this man was wrestling like it was 2004. Haas and Benjamin tried to cheat themselves, but failed badly. Impressive double team from Los Guerreros, and Eddie hits the frog splash to win the tag team titles. I thought this match was very refreshing. If you watch any tag team match from any era of WWE, the pacing is well known. It's very familiar. Here, it was very different. They sacrificed the match quality a bit. It would have been better as a match if it was the normal pacing. You know, the heels dominate, Eddie tags in. You know, the basic tag team match style. But I loved seeing the babyfaces be one step ahead of the heels the entire time. And the world's greatest tag team weren't treated like jobbers. It just felt like Los Guerreros had one of those nights. You guys know those nights in sports, said players unstoppable. That's what Los Guerreros were here. They never looked vulnerable, and I liked it. It was very different. I welcomed it because, as I said, the champions weren't even weak. It was a bad night for them, and that's what it came down to. Good match. And the main event, the 60-man Iron Man match. Kurt Angle defended the WWE Championship against Brock Lesnar. A story rooted in competition. So this is what it comes down to. Okay, Kurt Angle wronged Brock Lesnar a while ago, claimed he was going to give him a title shot, but ended up turning against him. Brock wins the Rumble, faces him at WrestleMania, and earns the respect of the Olympic hero. Upon his return, Angle wants the championship. He's cool with Brock. They've got a nice friendship going on. All is well. Once Angle wants the title, though, things change. Brock doesn't see him as a friend anymore, rather a target, and even sides with Vince McMahon in an effort to get back his championship. This Brock heel turn was kind of strange because he was a bit cowardly. When he faced top talent like Kurt Angle, who was more cowardly, I think it's strange because it took a different approach compared to his original run. I guess they wanted to make him more human. So they had this match. This was the third match in the series. Brock versus Kurt Angle. They had one at WrestleMania. They had one at SummerSlam. They even had some side matches, you know, Vengeance 2003. But this was the third singles match, and it was going to be the final one in the series. Okay, Brock quickly went into the attack. He took advantage of the bell ringing and overwhelmed Angle with his intensity. It didn't take too long for Angle to adapt, and this upset the challenger. He was wasting time on the outside, and it had also become apparent that Lesnar had some problems in his knee. He tried baiting Kurt Angle, and it worked the first time. The second, he was exposed. Brock's knee wasn't exploited yet, as he still had a lot of strength and intensity. Even brought in a chair at one point to blast Angle and give him the point before continuing. This was an intelligent idea because it allowed for him to hit an F5 without any worries, and in turn give him a fall and an unfair advantage heading into the third fall. He scored another win by locking in the ankle lock. It was easy for him. After the commercial break, Brock Lesnar was still in control. Angle, though, was starting to fight back, kicking out of the Angle slam, avoiding disaster in the corner. Despite his stamina being depleted, Angle still had enough in him to hit a German suplex. The commentary made a big deal out of Brock doing anything to win the belt. He sent Angle into the barricade on the outside and hit an F5. This was enough for a count-out victory. Brock was 3-1 up. He had a 3-1 lead. We all know what that means. After the commercial break, Brock was once again still dominant. He looked almost unstoppable until Angle ducked and hit an Angle slam to score the win to make it 3-2. It was from out of nowhere, and after Brock was beating the life out of him with no end in sight. Nice sequence of Brock thinking he's got the F5, but instead Angle locks in the ankle lock, which leads to a ref bump and the Angle slam. Lesnar at this point had to resort to cheating with a low blow, and this man was so desperate that he brought in the belt and dropped Kurt Angle with it, and this was enough for the win. So Brock was now 4-2 up, and Kurt Angle was looking weak. After the commercial break, Kurt Angle was still intense, weak but very aggressive. He was starting to take more risks in favor of the match and even hit a moonsault, which wasn't successful. Angle was more desperate, even attempting a roll-up, but nothing was working. These acts of desperation, though, were getting him in great positions, such as the ankle lock here. Brock was still reminding him of who he was, but at the same time, though, he was making boneheaded decisions, such as trying to bring in the steel steps. During the commercial break, though, he scored yet another fall to make it 2-5. It was a mauling, and Kurt Angle had no answer at the moment. He countered an F5 before hitting one on Lesnar on the post. That knee he struggled with earlier was exploited. He was locked in a knee bar, the ankle lock, and once again Angle walked into the F5. The challenger took too long to go for the cover and he kicked out. Angle had enough wherewithal to hit an overthrow from the top rope to finally score the fall. Time was limited, but Angle was determined to make it work. Both men traded strikes with Angle having the edge. He dropped the challenger and measured him for the ankle slam. That didn't work, and Lesnar was desperate. He was looking for any way to just waste time and end the match. 2 German suplexes in a third to complete the hat trick. His fourth didn't work, and Angle showed him how to do it. Brock attempts his own counter and walks into the ankle lock, but this time Angle had a tight grip, and Lesnar was scrambling for any opening but to no avail. He was writhing in pain and had no choice but to tap out and give Angle the fall. So now it was 4-5. Lesnar had the advantage. The champion locked it in again, but it wasn't working, and that was the problem. This was Angle's move. It got him the victory here, so why not do it again? He was even doing it on the outside. This man was possessed. He was persistent, all while Lesnar's moving around trying to waste time. At this point, it was all-out attack. German suplexes. Brock even found a moment to drop him on the low blow, and it was a big mistake to approach Angle because he locked him in again. 10 seconds. Lesnar struggling. The crowd's into it. Angle even locked his legs in as well. It was a decisive moment, but Brock fought through and made it to the very end to win the match, and most importantly, the WWE Championship. Tremendous final moments. This was in general a tremendous match. These two were built for 60 minutes. Such incredible conditioning from both men, especially Kurt Angle. This man was jumping around near the end like it was the first minutes of the match. The pacing was amazing, and it didn't feel like a 60-minute match, which should be treated as a good reason for why this match was great. An Iron Man match is tough to execute. You know, at the end of the day, if you have 60 minutes, you have to entertain the crowd, you have to pace it well. These guys did everything perfect. Like, I do not have a single problem with this match, other than the fact that WWE didn't have the commercial breaks a part of the match on the network. I think that would have been nice, but it is what it is. That's what makes it special to me, the fact that these guys knew what they had. They knew this was a tough task, to have 60 minutes and face each other. They did it very well, and it was probably the very best match WWE had in 2003. Like, it most likely was. Great match, great match. I highly recommend you watch it, because as I said, 60 minutes does not feel like 60 minutes. It's not exactly 60 minutes with the commercials, but it really passes by quickly. So yeah. Alright, this episode of SmackDown was great. I'm not even gonna say it's bad. Tag team match was fun. Main event, you guys know what's up. Other than that, it was just filler stuff. The opener, they made the most out of it. Handicap match was just a way to establish an equal. But the best part about the show was clearly the Iron Man match. This show was heavily centered around it. They treated it like a big deal, and it was a big deal. I loved it. Brock and Angle played their characters well. Brock was basically a monster, but he knew who he was going up against. A guy that was an Olympic hero, a gold medalist, a guy that had won the WWE Championship multiple times. Kurt Angle. Great stuff. I loved it. Alright, what'd you guys think of this episode of SmackDown? Please comment down below, and that's it for this video. Make sure you hit the Angle slam on the like button, or perhaps the F5 and the subscribe button. Peace. I'm out.